Hi, my name is Carly, and this is my marketing simulation run where I got 8.2 million in profit. So I'll be doing a little overview for you and showing you how I got here, and also my thoughts on the marketing simulation itself. So when I was really looking for a place to find my situational analysis and the tab that I really went to for making future decisions on how I invested my money, I really stayed within the customer satisfaction tab. I found the most guidance through this because it really tells you everything you need to know just within the segments and how they feel. And the more you listen to your customer base on how satisfied they were, the better results you did and the more retention you had in your customer bases within the segments. And so whenever they were anything less than very satisfied, I made sure to click it and see how they were feeling, because all of your positioning is really targeted in how these segments are reacting to the way that you are investing your money. And whenever they were not happy with either the thermal aspect of it or the marketing segment of it, then I would go ahead and either put more money into it or change up the numbers to get them to very satisfied or satisfied. And when they were there, then my profit was definitely going up a lot more than when they were less than satisfied. Now on segmentation, targeting, and positioning, I found they all went hand in hand, because making a decision in one will affect another one. And when I would pay more attention to my, say, large customer base, the small customer segment would get less attention, but through trial and error I found that that was actually what brought in the most money for my company. And it's all about making sacrifices for certain target markets by positioning them in the way that you need. And so by looking at the market research and looking at the customer satisfaction, you could really see where your targeting and positioning was going, especially in the market research tab. You can focus on large customers or small customers, and you really got a clear representation of how your thermal resistance was doing and the power to size ratio was doing, and how those segments really reacted within there. And I really like being able to see where my competitor was at, because the whole thing is about beating your competitor, and being able to see where you are in positioning to your competitor really helps with that segmentation, targeting, and positioning strategies that you use. Now on my first run, I put prices very low, giving many discounts to each segment, and I found that that was really the wrong way to go, because many segments were not price sensitive. So by raising the overall price and giving segment D the biggest discount, I made the greatest profit, and you can really see that through all of this. Now this gave me a good representation of the marketing aspect of the simulation, but when it came to sales, the sales tab really helped out my profitability, and it was a nice channel to use while also using the dashboard overview and that market research and the customer satisfaction. Using all those channels together, you got a clear overview of where your segments really were and how much money and time you should be putting into all of those segments. While using this sales channel on here, I really learned where my money should be going when it came to large customers versus small customers. And obviously the large customers were the ones who were showing the most potential in money. And so I put most of my money in the large customer base, and that seemed to pay off for me, especially because the small customer base just kept on going down and down, while the large customer base kept going up and up. And also, this helped me realize that when you first start the simulation, they put on about 15 people onto your Salesforce staff, and I found that was way too many. You could save loads of money by bringing your sales force down to 6 to 8 sales representatives, and by doing that you save money, and you can still focus on sales and still do a good job on sales with that limited number of people. So the marketing and financial metrics within this simulation really helped me see the forecast of how my company was going to, and overall it helped me analyze the performance of my company. Through the profit margin, I got to really see how I was spending my money, because if I had a good revenue for one quarter, then I would get bumped up and have an extra $100,000 to spend on either different features from the power or the thermal, or even marketing or the sales force, and I got to spend extra money on that. But if there was a quarter where I did worse, then my profit margin would go down and I wouldn't have as much money to spend to really improve that customer satisfaction. And while each quarter showed progression on my final run, where I reached the $8.2 million in profit, the first couple of runs I showed it would be very up and down. My quarterly revenue would sometimes go up by $1 million and sometimes it would go down by $1 million. But on that final run, I finally got to where on each quarter it was at least going up by $100,000. And through this quarterly revenue bar right here, I really got to see my performance and how everything was progressing. And then it could break it off into the segments, and I got to see how segment A, B, C, and D were all performing in comparison to that quarterly revenue, either raising or decreasing. So overall, I really enjoyed this simulation because it really showed me how much you do need to focus on each segment's needs and how to manage the mix of these segmentations through marketing, targeting, and positioning. The only problem that I did have with this simulation is that I feel it could have given us a possible higher profit margin to work with, and even maybe more money to work with on a quarterly basis. And it could go into more detail on what each segment is having a problem with, because whenever you go to the customer satisfaction page and there's a customer that's not satisfied, it'll tell you if it's either the power to size ratio or if it is the thermal product, but it needs to go really more into that on what we need to do to fix that. But overall, this was a very interesting simulation, and it really taught me a lot.